Hey there, beings, people, other digital things. You're watching Healthy Mind. I'm Danny, your self-development storyteller or self-investment storyteller is what I would like to say. And the main purpose of this channel is for us to think a little deeper, to think more positively, to even consider the things that are against us and figure out how to make them for our good, because all things work together for our good. So on this channel, you will have to do a little work. So I'll have these mini workshops, and I want to describe them as workshop because as a content creator, most of the time we are here to entertain. We're here to inform. You don't come to for work unless you're about to build something. But what we're going to focus here is how do we build a better version of ourselves and still maintaining ourselves. Maintaining ourselves means understanding, where we came from, our environment, but also who are we? What do we want to become? And as an entrepreneur, I'm going to embed a lot of entrepreneurial concepts. I want to invite entrepreneurs on the show, as I've always been doing, interviewing them with questions, especially those who are mindful creators, those who consider themselves as thought leaders, those who are advocates for self-development. But as it relates to the foundation of the channel, it's going to be workshop-based. Some of the workshops are going to be a self-assignment where we'll discover something on the internet and we'll explore it in a more deep way about how it relates to the way that we think and how we interact with other relationships. Because as an entrepreneur, you're going to be in the midst of lots of relationships, right? There are going to be a lot of rules in some of these relationships. And so what we want to establish is how are we going to show up and how we're going to show up as a person who adds value to ourselves and to others. Sometimes we need to take some time out and think about it. We can meditate and we can have moments of silence. We can have prayer. We can also have intentional time, and it's just less than 15 minutes with me where we actually think about these things and challenge our mind. These little workshops are going to look like the general assignments that we've been doing on the channel. It's also going to be an opportunity for us to bring AI into the conversation because, as we know, AI is collecting data and we're collecting data on ourselves. But AI takes information that has been learned from humans and it's spitting it back out to us. It's not even guaranteed that it's always exactly what is absolute when it comes to that spiritual realm or the religion realm. Maybe when it comes to coding or things like that, but it's not always absolute. What I want us to do is just have AI, marketing, advertising in mind when we go across this self-development journey, because those are the things that I'm interested in. Of course, I want to be able to embed that, but also because I see so much power in being able to collect the data on ourselves and to have these conversations, which is more data for us to collect outside of ourselves, and to also finish and start things over and over again and get into that rhythm of that. Along with those workshops, we're having a journal assignment. We're going to have workshops where we'll take something as far as AI, and then we'll be able to use that in our creative entrepreneurial journey from start to finish. So you'll see a mix of those type of workshops here. Lastly, again, I want to reiterate that I'm not going to stop doing interviews. So I definitely am bringing on those who have a story to tell, something for us to learn from, and then we'll even have game sessions throughout these interviews where it's also going to be one of those self-assignments for us to think a little bit deeper and to think a little bit more intentionally. So all that being said, I want to introduce to you all a product that I have from one of my companies. This is Peace Equations, and these are going to be journal assignments, right? Our journal assignments are going to start from this concept that I have in these journals available for you, but you can also have your own journal and then write out your assignments the way that you see fit because you are thinking for yourself. We're just doing this together. One of the major aspects of the journal is going to be the habit tracking of behavior. So I'm going to put that on the screen just so you can see the idea of us tracking habits. And this is not anything new, but this is just us being very intentional, taking a book, writing it down. For me, if you're that type of person, I like to write things down. It helps me get that embedded in my mind to remember. So we're going to write down our habits, and these habits can be related to whatever your project is for that 6 months or for the year, and it could be for a lifetime. So I have these journals broken up in different ideas, but you can use them however you want. So for instance, this one, relationship overall. So I imagine anyone who wants to work on better relationships, mostly the relationship with ourselves, but also relationships with our spouses, our children, our coworkers, could use a relationship over rules journal as inspiration to start tracking their behavior. So for me, my relationship with myself is how I'm tracking my behaviors for the next 6 months. And I'm starting with 6 months and we can repeat it, but 6 months is what we see in research is going to be us establishing a great rhythm with those habits. that can be embedded and we can stick through those habits and we can make something great out of. So we've often been making habits out of the worst thing, out of our negative thoughts. We're very good at that. We've been making our habits out of unhealthy eating habits. We've been making these habits out of just self-destruction. But now being intentional means that how do I make better habits out of better eating habits, for instance? So for me, I have, that first 15 minutes of silence, if I can do more, but guaranteeing 15 minutes of silence to myself. It's on one of my things on my list, 10,000 steps, because I definitely have let go of just hearing. I've let stress overtake me in some areas. And so I want to be intentional about my health, and I want us to start slow, starting with what I love, being in nature and having those 10,000 steps. So when you can see on the habit tracking behavior outline is that you just want to be able to mark off, check each day that you're able to complete that habit, and you want to be able to see as many checks as possible. So it's very simple, but I love to have a very personalized book. The next thing we have when we come into these books is the prayer, song, letter, praise, insight pages. And what this means is you're going to be able to journal based off of those concepts. Now, this is just the standard that I have for these journals, but you can customize your journal. You can set up a time with me to customize journals and purchase your own customized experience. I also have opportunities for those who want to work on their self-development story in the form of poetry books or just short essays or just a memoir of themselves. All nonfiction. I don't do any fiction books. You have that opportunity. And also for those who are intentional about their families and want to change the narrative, we can create a storybook together that involves your family. That could be, just a children's book with you and your children or you and your spouse, or just you and yourself in your own adventure. There's that opportunity. And then there's the opportunity of putting together books, family stories, and gathering those pictures from your family and putting those into a book that you can have and keep. There's something about having a book. There's something about recording. So that's why I want to come here intentionally. I don't really have too much focus on being this next person. I have much focus on just recording and having a reference for my family as well, which is why I want to be more active in one moves. The last thing I want to say about the journal is that I want you all to define for yourself what prayer means to you, what song means to you, letter, praise, and insight. But as it relates to insight, this is where a lot of our journal sessions will come from, because they're going to be very question heavy. It's going to be based on a question, and then you're going to have to kind of dig deeper within that question. And so, for instance, we think about insight with some of the social media videos that I have, and I'll put some links in the description so you can have a reference if you're new here. But if we're reviewing a social media video and we're discovering whether it's their thought or our thought, then our next layer is going to be based off something new that we introduced. So if any of you have ever read the book Outwitting the Devil, there's this concept of an opposition, and then there's the concept of the devil seeing all his evil ways, right? Within this book, you learn a lot about how the Satan or the devil is not somebody who's, a pitchfork or red guy, but an energy. And sometimes that energy grows because of the behavior and choices that we have, and that we have a lot of ownership and control over those things. And sometimes we want to put it off when someone else is like, oh, that's Satan, that's the enemy, that's the devil. But sometimes it's us deciding something. Even though it's implanted there, we do not always have to let that thing grow if it's not for our good. And so that's what the whole practice and the insightfulness on this channel is going to be about. So although I want to be able to entertain anyone who loves my joke, I'm learning about myself and about my content that this is for those who want to think, for those who want to practice thinking in a healthier way, who want to join this journey of starting and finish product. And so that's what we'll be doing here. Before I let you all go, if you have any questions, if it's not clear to you what this channel is about, challenge me. Put some comment below. Let me know that I didn't really explain, that you're still confused, or that maybe you never were confused, maybe you always known. But I wanted to have a reference, especially for those who are going to be on the channel, as it relates to some of the workshops that I'll have and some of the panels that we'll have, and even the interviews of what the primary focus is. If you're a thought leader, if you're an advocate for self-development, if you want to see a better version of yourself and be intentional about that process, this is the practice here. This is where we have the discussions here. If you like that type of stuff, go ahead and subscribe, share this content with your friends, review some of the content that I have below, which is going to be content related to what this channel is about. And you can even explore the journey so far. So this self-development journey is going to be intentional, friends. Like, I have some jokes. I have a few jokes because I consider myself Funny, okay? But this is work, and I understand that it's work. Although I like to see butterflies and birds sing and sunshine, and I still will, it takes work to be positive at thinking. A lot of people think that positive people or people who think positive have a skewed view of the world. That's not true. That's a lie. Most of the people, and I won't speak for everyone because I don't know everyone, and I don't want to come off as this guru that knows everything. I'm just someone who's been learning and exploring through my own experiences, and I'm sharing it. But from my observation, those who really want to see something better in their lives, they challenge themselves to see it in a way that can be helpful for them. Even in those dark times, even in those times where it seems like this is too hard for me, there's something good there. And if you can extract it early enough, you don't have to sit into that pain or that devastation longer than you need to. So a lot of people might even describe the self-discovery process as a very, touching experience, and it could be like, oh my goodness, like my life, right? And it could be that for many people. I want to say, let's challenge ourselves to continue to define what we want out of our lives with intention, be very clear and matter of fact about that. Build a better relationship with yourself so you can build a better relationship with your spouses, your lovers, your children. I believe in that. That's what we'll be doing here. Friends, I want to close out with this concept called no, which will also be visited in a lot of the content that I share. Although I'll be sharing these words today, these are going to change, but I'm always going to keep the KNOW, right? And for no, and I've described it before in the other videos, but for no, we're getting that keen understanding. Keen understanding is we're willing to get into the nitty-gritty. We want to understand something. And even if we don't have the overall definition, we want to start collecting questions in this part of our journey. And the questions can come through journaling. It can come to conversations, having these conversations with people, challenging ourselves to just really go beyond the surface, even if it's just a little bit. The next part of no is in. Our goal with the habit tracking is to nurture, right? Primarily, we want to nurture whatever behavior that we see supports us and supports the idea of a heaven on earth for ourselves. Even if we don't see it outside of ourselves, we can at least start within ourselves. So nurturing that take those habits that we want. Now, O can be a lot of different O's, and I have lots for O's, but I'll stick with opportunity and observation for now. And observation is just what we see and what are the results of the things that we see. Do we see something good out of it? I think this is basic, right? I think everything that I'll be sharing with you is very basic. You've heard it before, but we're just here to practice. Now, the opportunities is what opportunities can we create out of the things that we collect, right? Out of the behaviors that we're tracking. What do we want to actually see? This is when we try to write out our narrative and our story with those opportunities. And then the W is the win, right? We want to be able to track our wins. We want to be able to track our wins versus tracking the records of wrong, right? There's a scripture in the Bible that talks about collecting records of wrong when it comes to love, right? On the opposite end, we want to be able to at least have a track of the record of the wins. And this is not to boost our ego. It's not to say that we're better than anyone, because we all have the opportunity to think better. The tracking of our wins is not to think that we're better than anyone else. We all have the opportunity to think better. Tracking our wins is just that data that if we implement a process, if we're intentional about a process, that we can see the result. And this is going to serve as the reminder, because we need each other. This is why I want to do this with you all. This is why I need someone to, come. If it's just one person that decides to come here every week with me, I appreciate you. But we want to be able to track the wins because we want to have a record of rights. We want to see that when we apply these things and we have intentional conversations and we're at least doing our best, even if we don't get it right all the time, that we put ourselves in a position to challenge ourselves for the good. And for the good is something that we'll start to unravel. We want to be able to define these things. So that's all that I want to share with you all today. I wanted to have a reference for anyone who wants to come on the channel, for anyone who wants to work with me, anyone who wants to develop a story, anyone who wants to practice. What is this channel about? It's about practicing. It's about finishing and starting over, and keep going in the way that allows the journey to be less weighty and just flowing. The entrepreneurial journey has taught me a lot about self-discovery and relationships. And working in marketing and working in data and advertising has taught me a lot about what people go after when it comes to being a consumer. We want to put ourselves in a position to consume content in a very intentional way so that it doesn't allow us to go astray in a way that we don't see serve us. But we're going to define this for ourselves and we're going to work together with this. All right, friends. Until next time, hold on to you as much as you can. Hold on to your health, your being, and your mind. Bye. Bye.
This experience is brought to you by peaceequations.com. Choose life, choose joy, choose peace over chaos.